The holiday season might be a time for fun and family, and it is easy to focus on everything we can do with our loved ones and overlook our safety. It is common to see a rapid increase in crime during the festive season. But what are the trends? Well, to unpack this, we are now joined via Teams by Professor in Criminology and Forensic Studies at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, Nirmala Gopal. Prof, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. So police are talking tough, ahead of the festive season, saying they'll show no mercy, promising to wage a war on criminals. Let's then talk about just some of the crime trends that you've picked up over the years that still rank highly in this country, especially during this time of the year.
So good afternoon, and good afternoon to your viewers as well. I think you made a very profound statement at the beginning when you said that when it's time for fun and festivity, we tend to sometimes forget about our safety. And I think as using that as the background, it's important for all of us to to use this period to also look after our own safety. Now, if we had to look at some of the crime trends during the festive season, one would note that car hijacking is quite high on the agenda, housebreaking, cash in transit heists. But I also think that something that, a type of crime that we don't necessarily report on, largely because it's not usually insured or insurance linked, are pickpocketing, for example, card fraud, and scamsters who are out there in the malls and are ready to prey on elderly, ready to prey on the vulnerable. So these are usually the trends that we would find, and specifically during the Christmas festive season, I think the contributing factor is the fact that people are looking for money. So you would find largely economic-based crimes. But in addition to that, where we have drugs and alcohol that's freely available and there's no compliance or there are no restrictions, you would find that we would have an increase in violence and violent-related crimes.
Now, of course, just talking about and staying with the trends, this country is also said to be becoming a world hotspot for cyber crime. I mean, how difficult is it to fight this kind of crime and ensure not only successful arrests, but also prosecutions?
Yeah, I think, cybercrime has increased and is increasing across the world. One of the challenges that we have in South Africa is that our laws at the moment, our prosecuting authorities and our laws are not in keeping, they're not up to date with the kind of cyber crimes that we are actually experiencing. So in most cases, we are still using the old orthodox categories of crime through which we process cybercrime. I think importantly is for the people of the country to understand and to know that cybercrime is on the increase, but also to be aware that prosecution and remedies and recourse for them is not going to be very easy or simple, largely because we are still quite new in terms of cybercrime laws, etc.
I mean, Prof, earlier, just going back to what you said earlier in terms of just some of the crimes that we are seeing, especially in the violent crime, just recent crime stats revealing that close to 7,000 people were murdered in a 3-month period in this current financial year. Just given that the SAPS have identified top 30 police stations, and I believe it's in 4 provinces, with the highest contact crime figures, how should they then position themselves and intensify, in crime fighting, over the next few weeks, particularly because we've seen this drastic increase?
So I think very importantly is to have visible policing, and also to increase the number of police officers that we have in these, to police these particular areas. The worry is that when we have a lack of policing, whether it's in terms of resources or the visibility of our police, you'd find that these hotspots then sustain those high levels of violence, murder, etc. So visible policing and an increase in the number of police officers that we have in these areas.